an honor. It was such an honor. And it's really not the work that I do, but it's just really what God has placed in me to do, and the calling that he has just really placed on my life to do. And just as he's got a calling on my life to do things, he has a calling on your life as well. There's a divine calling that you and only you can do. There's a divine purpose that God has for you. And because we are made in the image of God, right? We're like God. We're made in his image. And we know that his life is already called, right? And so here we are on earth to fulfill some things in the lives of people, to serve, right? And as I've been talking about lately, is to leave this world empty, meaning that you've given everything that you have been called. You've walked out your 365 days of purpose. So my question goes to you tonight, right? As you are taking the time to write, how did you seize the day? Because I want to make sure that you're celebrating yourself. I want to make sure that you're acknowledging, this is what happened to me great today. So for me thinking about, future focus, how does your future look like? How I seized my day, or how I won my day today, is by looking at what is it that I should be doing, what triggers me and what does not trigger me. And if I discovered this, there's an area of my life, and you may think, well, is that like you? Oh yeah, that's definitely future focus. If there's an area in my life or something that triggers me and can actually hinder me from moving forward with my future in doing the great and phenomenal things, then that is something that I have to address. And here's how I seized the day with it. This is how I won today with it, is that I was able to recognize it and pinpoint it and say, okay, this is an area in my life, right, that I can use some work on. See, I just believe that that's it for all of us. Hey, Eddie, how are you? How are you? I'm so glad that you're joining us. I'm so glad that you are listening. I hope that it's encouraging you, right? So let's look at your future. What does your future look like? The first thing I want you to know is that as you're looking at your future, that you want to say, listen, I'm not too old to fulfill things. I'm not too old to walk in the divine calling that God has on my life. That divine calling can be anything. It could be to write a book. It could be to serve humanity at whatever level. It could be to work in corporate America. It could be an entrepreneur, because being an entrepreneur, starting your business could be a business to where that's going to help people. It's going to connect you to people while it's still bringing you in great income, right? Because that's a part of it as well. And so whenever we're talking about what is the divine calling, see, I love that word divine, because we serve the divine. We serve a God that is divine. And no matter what he has called and placed in us to do, because it's come from him and he's placed it in us, it is all divine, right? It is all divine. So we don't have to be in the pulpit to be walking in purpose. We don't have to be in the pulpit to walk out our 365 days of purpose. Okay. There's so many other things out there. We should be in every area of society, every area of this world. Why? Because there's a calling on each of us to go out. Maybe you're that person that's an author. Maybe you're that person that's an editor, whatever it is. You're that graphic designer like Valerie, who is a phenomenal graphic designer. And if you want great graphic design done, you need to connect with Valerie. And listen, if you don't know how to connect with her, reach out to me. I'll tell you how to, right? That is something that she is excellent at doing. She's called to doing it, and she does it well. So you have to begin to look. And so here it is. What does your future look like? What does your future look like? One of the things that I began to do as I grew older, and I really began to look, and I honestly began to look at it even more in the past 3-4 years or so, even zone in on it more, is that really, what does my future look like? And what am I doing with what God has given me, what he's really called me to do, right? And so here's that question for you. And then getting over the obstacle, that negative self-talk that sometimes goes on in our head, that says that I'm too old. And I discovered I'm not too old. Listen, guys, on April 30th, I became 60 years old, right? But I'm not too old. I'm not too old, and neither are you. Neither are you. When I was listening to Cindy Trim yesterday, or on, I believe it was on Saturday, she began to talk about Colonel Sanders. And she talked about how Colonel Sanders, and I didn't even realize this, did not start KFC until in his 70s. I believe he was 73, or anyway, I can't remember, between 73 and 78. Whoa. And look at where it is right now. And while he's no longer here, that legacy of what he did is still going on, right? So, Facebook user, every time you say that, give me, Val, is this you? If this is you, Valerie is celebrating her 62nd birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Valerie. Happy birthday. So, it's amazing. And so here it is. Okay, thank you, Pandora. Colonel Sanders was 72 and he had diabetes, but he started a business. He did something. He didn't stay stagnant and he didn't have excuses, or if he did, he stopped the excuses and he launched out. See, that's what happens to us many times, is when we're looking at our future and we're thinking about, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. Should we do it? Maybe not, maybe not. And we're doing like double dutch. You understand what I mean? Is that we then say, are we too old? We come up with excuses, and the excuses we come up with are obstacles to us walking in purpose. Walking in our, I like to say, our divine purpose, 365 days of the year, and being unapologetic about it. You know, this is what I'm doing. I'm unapologetically me, and I'm unapologetically walking in my purpose 365 days. It's not that I don't make a mistake. It's not that, no, but when I make that mistake, I can recognize it and then I could course correct it. If there's my thought patterns that need to be that needs to be reframed, then I can begin to reframe my thought patterns. You see, everything that we need to be successful in this life has already been given to us. It's instilled in us from the day that we were created. From that day, it's already there. What we have to do now is learn how to access what's already been placed in us. And after we access it, then we've got to cultivate it. And we've got to place ourselves in situations, or place ourselves, let's say, in environments that will encourage us, lift us up, and push us to walking in our 365 days of purposeful living, 355 days of living out what we have been divinely called to do, 365 days. Whatever that is. Choosing, because we always have a choice as we're looking at our future, choosing to live our life by design, because God already has a plan for us. He has designed it. We just have to know what it is. So choosing to live our life by design and not by default. Come on, you guys, communicate with me, talk to me, tell me your thoughts. What are your thoughts about what I'm saying? What does your future look like? What does your future look like? Priscilla says that the accessing is often the most difficult step. Yes, it is. It is often the most difficult step. How do we access it? How do we get to that place in our very inner beings? Because it's in there. It's always been in there. Now, how do we get to it? And that is something that you have to now go on a path of self-discovery and discover who you are and what you were created to do. Right. And so that's where, whenever you're thinking about discovery, self-discovery, I talked in my book, Why Step Into Purpose. I talk about discovery versus searching versus discovery. We can search and search and search and search and search, and we can always come up with nothing. As a matter of fact, I know for me, when I go on Google, I go to one search engine looking for this, and it'll take me to another search and another search and another search and another search. And I just get overwhelmed with all of the stuff that's coming. And then I just shut down and say, okay, this is way too much. So sometimes we can search and search and search and search, and we can never find what we are actually looking for. It doesn't resonate with us in our very most inner being. And then there's times where our search can lead to a discovery. And when you discover it, that's where everything begins to shift. And so I say this to you as I'm talking to you about what does your future look like? Listen, wherever you are in your life right now, I want to listen, I want to help you. I want to encourage you. I want to be your midwife and push you and say, it is not too late. It is time for you to discover. It is time for you to find out exactly what God's plan is for you. And you can say that I already know what God's plan is for you. So then great. That's great. Then make sure that if you already know what his plan is for you, that you're walking it out every day, 365 years. And if you know what God's plan is for you, make sure that you're cultivating it. Make sure that that plan isn't staying stagnant, because whatever God puts in us, it is not for us to just stay right there. It is for us to grow and grow and grow and grow. It is for us to go from level to level, from faith to faith. It is always for us to up level. We must have a growth mindset. So if you already know that plan, I think that's wonderful and I celebrate you. Now what I want you to do is look to see, how can you up level now? How can you grow? How can you reach further? How can you go deeper in that plan? Right? Hey, Georgia. Hey, good night. Good night. Pandora said, that's me, always searching and not completing. Pandora, can I tell you, that's not just you. That's many of us. So you're not alone, y'all. Y'all don't leave her out there. Let her know she's not alone. We're all like that. But many times I was like that, always searching. And then I felt as if I was never, coming until I got to the place where I discovered, and followed the instructions. And so what did I do, right? Judy says, Yana, you are not alone. Yana is, you are not alone, right? That's exactly it. Once I just really began to discover, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm securing it, I'm clear on what I'm supposed to be doing, then I began to walk exactly that out. And so one of the things I did I began to develop, and I'm going to share with you a program that I have that if you're still in that searching mode, if you're still saying, I'm not sure, or you may say, I'm good, but I just want just a little bit more, right? I develop a program called God's Plan for You. And it's a awesome program, right? Awesome program. It helps you in the searching. Dandra said, searching and searching. We're all searching. Sometimes I thought about that song, y'all. That song that says, search all over, couldn't find nobody. That's how I felt like I was several years ago. I'm looking, I'm searching, because there was something that was just missing for me. And I needed to find the missing piece. I needed to discover. And then I needed to have clarity. And then after getting clarity, and by the way, my clarity didn't come boom like that. As I began to discover and as I began to step out in faith, as I began to launch out into the deep, as I began to be unapologetic about what God has called me to do, then my clarity even became clearer, right? And I discovered even more. So with that, I developed God's Plan for You, because I do believe that while I may know, and by the way, I knew what God's plan for me was. So that's why I can say, if you already know, because I was one of those people. I knew God's plan for me. I knew what I was called to do. I just didn't know how to get there. I wasn't totally clear on everything. I had a lot of things going on. I had fear because, had fear of judgment. What are people going to think about me? What are people going to say about me? People, are they going to accept me? Are they going to hear me? Just all of these things. And that's an obstacle, right? And for us stepping out and doing exactly what God has called us to do. Right. So I was there. I knew the plan, but I wasn't fully living it out. And as I've said before, if you've ever been any of my lives or anything at all, or if you've read my book, I talk about living a life by default or by design. And I say you could have everything by design, and then one thing happens. It's just like if you have a loan, right? And you could pay that loan, and then you missed a couple payments. You could say, but I only missed one or two. And that could literally put you into default. Or if you add some lemon to water, it's no longer water, it is lemonade, right? And so you could be say, I'm living my life by design, and then something you could find out, oh no, this is by, I'm right here, I'm in default, which means I'm in default. Georgia says Yana, you know, so which you're not alone, exactly. And so what I discovered was there was just areas where I was really living my life by default, and my desire, as I'm sure yours is as well, is to live your life by design. God has designed our lives for us, and it is beautiful, it is great. We just have to now get into the plan, discover it, and then begin to walk it out and see how much our life would change as you just begin to walk out exactly what has been designed. Right? He doesn't, he's not going to take it and say, I'm going to make you do this. No, it's a choice. You have to choose. And in choosing, you have to decide, listen, I love me enough, that I'm going to invest in myself, right? Invest in myself to walk out that plan, to where, as I keep telling everyone, as I've been talking lately, leaving this world empty, as my mother did. Tomorrow is my mother's birthday. And a year ago, last year, I was with her. This was our last birthday we spent together. And she couldn't really even talk then. But a few months before that, when I went to visit, I interviewed her and I talked with her. And my mother served, and she left this world empty. Um, Pandora said, yes, I know the plan. The obstacles is the execution. Exactly, Pandora, exactly. Priscilla says, I know God's plan, but like you said, I allowed fear and others' opinions of me to keep me from reaching God's full potential. It happens to all of us. That's what Priscilla said. It happens to all of it. It happened to me. And then the execution of it all. And so one of the things that I did was I began to develop God's plan for you based on some of the things that I know that I experienced as I began to unpack, and just unpack his plan. And so this isn't a 6 module program with a bonus as well. It's all online. It's all online, but it dives into areas of addressing your limiting beliefs. For example, identifying what your limiting beliefs are, and then addressing them, and then taking those action steps to remove the limiting beliefs, because our limiting belief, right, can hinder us. Those are obstacles, right? We talk about God's financial plan, and just really that financial plan for you, and abundance. And what does abundance really look like? Many times we think that abundance is just all money, but no, we're talking about whole life abundance, right? And so we're looking at, what does abundance look like? The module speaks about how you can take your prayer, your meditation, and it can actually come to life inside of you, right? To where your prayer now becomes a daily practice that you just do. Like your prayer becomes that journal. Your prayer becomes what you speak, and what you speak comes to pass in your life. Right. So then your prayer becomes that active part, because many of us, our prayer is not the active part. Or not that we don't pray, we pray, and we believe, and we trust God. But there's some things that's still missing that we have to do. So our prayer has to be very strategic, let's say, right? Our time with God, when we are setting our intentions, and setting how our day is going to go. We discuss things about like fear. What does fear look like for you, and how can fear be removed? Right? We talk about what really goes on in our subconscious mind, right? Because what many of us don't realize is that from when we were a little girl or a little boy, there are things that have been placed in our subconscious mind that is still there, that is an obstacle to us achieving, an obstacle to execution, an obstacle to why is it that we have the fear? Why is it that we are in fear of judgment, people opinions? There's some things that have maybe happened to us, to where our development, as we were born, and as we begin to grow up, our development has been arrested, and so and it blocks us. It blocks us from a whole life. It blocks us from an abundant life. It blocks us from really living our life out in its fullest. And as we're moving forward in our future, again, I ask, what does your future look like? What are you doing? How are you serving yourself? How are you investing in yourself? And how are you serving others? And are you walking in your full destiny? Are you walking in your 365 days of purpose? So I've got some good comments. So let's see. Latanya says, we have to find our place through God and how to live by design. His design is not our own design. His design is not our own design. Awesome. But his design is a part of they come together, right? They come together. You see, the thing about it is that God's not going to ever give us anything that he knows that we can't do. So, he's never going to do that. And so his design then becomes our design. And so we mesh them together and we walk it out. Right? We walk it out. And what happens sometimes, I love it, what Latanya says, because sometimes we try to go our own path and we're trying to do our own thing. And God is like, okay, yeah, you do your own thing. But now, are you ready? Let me help you walk through this. Discover who I really created you to be. Discover what it is that I want you to do. I talked the other day about one of my favorite scriptures, which is in Psalms. And the scripture says that God said, I will instruct you and teach you. I will instruct you and teach you in the way that you should go. I will guide you with my very own eyes. And for me, that means I could close my eyes just like this, y'all. And God is going to guide me. You see, what happened is when I close my eyes, because you're saying, how is that? Yeah, when you close your eyes, which, by the way, that's one of the activities and one of the things that we do at my retreat. But when you close your eyes, other senses pick up. Think about that for a minute. We're looking to be guided. Adelia gives, hey, Adelia, how are you? How are you? How are you? Says, yes, from doing what he has planned for us. Listen, when we really do it, it's so great. But now you got to discover what that plan is. Sometimes we're down here and we're saying we're walking in God's, but we're right here. When God is saying, no, I need you up here. I need you to serve the masses. I need you to live like this. I need you to do this. And so we hinder our growth and our success, right, of what we're doing based on what our belief system is, based on the box that we have put God in. It's time to discover. I love it, Pandora. Exactly. Discover. Discovery is so great. You discovered this, you discover that. Scientists, they discover. When you discover something, when you discover what is really in you, then what you can do is begin to cultivate it, to bring it out of you. And when you bring it out of you, then it can be executed. I love that word, that pen, the execution of it all. The execution of it all. And so what God's plan for you does exactly that. It helps you to discover all of that. And it's just an online course. I want to invite you, to check it out. Check out the course, go online and check it out. And, and when, should you choose to take this course, let me know what you think about it. Connect with me and let's talk about how can you up level? How can you get unstuck? How can you discover, right? How can you execute? We're going to be tackling so many things. This is year 2021. And for me, this is the year I made a decision that I was going to be in radical action about some things in my life. Radical action about what God has placed in my heart to do. And no matter what action. And so what I would like to do is invite you to be in radical action in your life as well. Don't sit on the sideline. Look at what your future holds. And I want to tell you that your future is great. But you have to make a decision to be in radical action. Faith without works is dead, right? You just can't say, I got faith, but you have no works. Works for me means radical action. So I want to invite you to take radical action. And whether you connect with me or not, take radical action in in making a decision for your life, because it just takes one decision to move forward. It just takes one decision to up level. Just takes one decision for your life to completely change and turn around. Judy says, let's see, I love it, y'all. Judy says, then when you realize how good it is, what you discovered, you wonder why you waited so long to launch out. Oh, yeah, boom, boom, boom. That's a diamond right there. So true. You wonder why you waited so long to launch out. For years, I was having on my heart to do retreats. I finally launched out and did it. I was nervous when I did it. I did it in the middle of a pandemic, but I did it. And it was sold out, and lives were changed. Lives were changed. And so, listen, I launched out. I was in radical action. I'm still in radical action, launching God's plan for you. Radical action. The retreat, my second retreat, is coming up November 2021 in Orlando. Radical action. Radical action. You got to be in radical action and trust and believe. When you're in radical action, something changes. Everything changes. Stop making excuses. Stop poor mouthing. We have such a poverty mentality, y'all. We do. We got a poverty mentality, and we just gonna wait, for manna to come from heaven. And, we have a poverty mentality. Let's work on your mentality. Let's get a mindset shift, a mindset change. God's plan for you will do that for you. Connecting and coming to the retreat, that will do that for you. A mindset shift, because many times what does have to happen is our mindset has to change. So great. Latanya says, let's see. I believe when work in the area where we are passionate about helps us to discover who and what God designs for us. Yes, exactly. What are you passionate about? That's exactly true, right? Because what you're passionate about, man, that's the area. You start your business with what you're passionate about, right? I'm passionate about helping women achieve greatness. I'm passionate, and I help men as well. It's everyone, but I have a special passion to see women succeed wholly, to walk in their greatness, to not settle for less, to not settle for mediocrity, to not settle for negativity, to not feel as if life will never change for them. They're always going to be in this bad marriage or this bad relationship. They're always going to have problems and issues. It is what it is. No, I don't ever accept anything like that. I have a passion for women to rise above and to walk in their greatness. I have a passion for humanity to rise above. It doesn't matter what your race, your color, your religious background, what your belief system is, who you are, what you are. I don't care about that. What I do know is that God created all of us, and that's what I care about. And when He created all of us, He created all of us with greatness, with greatness. He created all of us with a fantastic, audacious future. We now have, because He created us, given us choices. He never pushes anything. He says, listen, the choice is always yours. We have to choose exactly what we're going to do. So Georgia says, radical action, my words from now on. Yes, radical action. We must be in a radical action. So here's my question to you tonight. What is the radical action will you take? Take radical action. Either connect with me, go and enroll in God's plan for you and begin something. Enroll, register, and come to the retreat, and let's begin transformation. Whatever it is, whatever action you take, it could be with someone else. That's perfectly fine. Just be in action, right? Because the one thing I know, that everyone isn't called to me, right? I know that I'm not here to help everyone, but those who are called, those who will come, will be helped. They're going to see a change in their lives, right? So, but what I want to tell you, no matter where you are in this world and what you do and what you believe, be in radical action and up level your life. Do something. Your future is waiting for you. People are waiting for you. Your voice must be heard. Lives need to be changed, and you are the person that is there to do it. And it begins at home. It begins within you. It begins in your family and in your community, and then spread out to the world. So what does your future look like? And are you in action? I can't wait to connect with you again. I have the link. It's the link. I believe it's on there. I love you guys. I love you guys. Thank you so much. For joining me. Radical action, radical action. Yeah, guys, everybody, I want everybody to type in chat, radical action. I'm going to be in radical action. You don't even have to state what it is right now, but if you want to, you can. I'm going to be in radical action because I find that when we put something into the atmosphere, when we put it into the universe, we're going to be in radical action, then it's expected. We're held accountable. I'm going to be in radical action. I'm going to be in radical action. And then, yeah, state what exactly are you going to be in radical action in, right? State what you're going to be. Radical action. Ardelia, radical action. Radical action. What are you going to do? Let me tell you what my radical action is. So coming up, this is June. We are relaunching our church in hey Tawanda, hey. She said, I'm going to be in radical action. I'm super excited because our church we're going back into the facility, into a new building in Milford, Delaware. So super excited about it. More information will be coming. I got to be in radical action. Oh yeah. Ardelia said, get my business. I love it. She said, get my business online. She has just stated exactly what she's going to be in radical action about. Amen. Great. Radical action. Get your business online. Make sure that, Ardelia, that you have an accountability partner. You have a mentor. You have a coach that's going to help you get your business online and give you the tools and hold you accountable to doing it. Radical action. What is it exactly you're going to do? Pandora says, I'm going to be in radical action. Great. What are you going to be in radical action doing? Valerie says, radical action in my possibility journey. Yeah, Valerie is in my possibility journey program. It's an 11-year program. Yes, Valerie, you're going to be in radical action in the possibility journey. Annika says, I'm going to be in radical action. Tamika Crawford said, amen. Who else? What are you going to be in radical action? Dondra said, radical action, creating a nonprofit board. Yay. Come on. Let's get it. It's in you. You can do this. Radical action. Radical action. Aisha says, I'm going to be in radical action. What are you going to be in radical action doing? I want you to be specific. So now that you're going to be in radical action, exactly what are you going to be? Are you going to be radical action in terms of, I'm going to start exercising? My radical action, I'm going to start exercising. What is it exactly? Put it out there. Juliet said, I'm going to be in radical action. What are you going to do? Y'all just type one word, type two words. What are you going to do in radical action? Because you got to put it. The scripture says your tongue is like the pen of a ready writer, right? Listen, y'all, you put it, right? You speak those words and design your life. Radical action. Georgia says hair braiding. Is that radical action in starting your hair braiding business, Georgia? Pandora says, publish my book. It was completed 2010, but never published. Come on, Pandora. Let's do it. If you need a publisher, I have a great one I can recommend you to. They published my book and they're phenomenal, right? So radical action. Listen, I'm here to hold you accountable. I'm here to help you push and to give birth to whatever it is. So let's see. Tamika says, opening a restaurant. Where exactly, Tamika, opening a restaurant? I love it. So listen, as you're doing your radical, what you're going to be in radical action is, this is what I want you to do. The second part, I want you to set some dates. When you going to start doing it? When will your radical action start? Set those dates, right? Oh, I don't let people off that easy. So come on, set the dates. Let's say Juliet said, writing my book. Did you start writing your book? What's the date? I want to know, when are you going to start your radical action? And then set yourself a timeline. Give yourself some timeline. See, this is the kind of stuff we do in the possibility journey. This is the kind of stuff we do in the retreat. This is the kind of stuff we talk about. I'm here to get you in action. Tamika says 3 months. Great. In 3 months. Perfect. Priscilla says, I'm going to be in radical action to start speaking nationally. Wonderful. So now, Priscilla, what I want you to do is begin to, when you're going to start and where are you going to start? And how are you going to get? And how are you going to get people to say, listen, I need Priscilla to come and speak at my event. Come on, let's do it. I love it. God, guys, I'm so excited because God has great things for you. You just got to make a decision and you got to be in radical action. He's just waiting for you. Tamika says radical confirmation. Perfect. Great. Valerie, she's our Facebook group user, says improving my physical, emotional, and physical health. Wonderful, guys. I love it. I can't wait to hear what some of you guys are going to be doing. I can't wait to see the results of your radical action. Pandora says, wow, feeling your energy. Yeah, I'm excited, Pandora, because I love it when I see people, when I see women saying, this is what I'm going to do, because I know, I know what God has for you. I know that it could be accomplished. He's waiting on us. He's ready for us to walk, to play full out and to fully show up, not halfway show up, but fully show up as who he has created us to be, authentically being ourselves. Hey, Lanita. Hey, Lanita, how are you? And then just being in radical action. I had to do it, y'all. I just had to be in radical action. And sometimes I tell you, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing here? Sometimes I was afraid. Sometimes I just was so unsure. But I had the tools and everything I needed. I had a coach. I had an accountability partner. I had all of these things to help me just continue moving forward, moving forward. That's what I want to encourage you to do, right? That's what I want to encourage you to do. So tonight, I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'm loving all of everything that's written. Tamika, I can't wait. I need to know, where's your restaurant? Because listen, one of the things we do when people get in radical action, guess what? We support each other. We don't leave you out there. We say, no, let me, how can I support you? Pandora, come on, let's get your book published. Go ahead, get it published. 2010, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I published my book. It should have taken me 3 months, but it took me 6 months. That's because I was like, I just had all these mental blocks, but I did it. And Pandora, can I tell you, version 1 is better than version none. Learned this a long time ago from my friend Matt Gill. Version 1 is better than version none. Your book, someone needs to read it. Someone needs to hear it. I thought when I was doing my book, who's going to read it? And after I did it and after I launched it, so many people reached out to me and said, thank you for writing this. Thank you for doing this. I'm taking action in my life. I'm moving towards living a life by design and not by default. I say this to you, Pandora, get your book published. So thank you, guys. I love you. I'm really honestly getting off right now. I'm going to post one more time, and it's posted in the chat, God's plan for you. If you're looking at the replay, please tell us where you're joining us from and communicate, talk to us. Remember, this is never a dialogue. It's never a monologue. It is always a dialogue. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I'm trying to find the link, but you guys will see it posted in the chat, right? For God's plan for you. We will talk to you later. I love you. Take care. God bless you. God bless.